You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, powered up by Fanatics. How we doing? How we doing? The WNBA, Angel Reese has been signed by a new league. And my questions today are, do the WNBA have problems with WNBA players? Are the WNBA going to be able to withstand competition as a new league is bringing forth the 3-on-3 league? And, of course, does the WNBA believe they have the product that they're supposed to have? As Gumake mentioned on TV during the interview, we have the product. We have the product. That is my question today. And I'm going to bring this to you. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We are powered up by Fanatics, and we are bringing it to you like it's never been brought before. And one thing you'll know about me, as I always tell you, it's my opinion. If it becomes truth, then I've given you the facts that happen. And those of you who have followed me, I always try to give you the information well in advance before the media even works on it. So let's get to it. Let me tell you what's going on. You got Angel Reese joins Mercury's Kalia Cooper, WNBA Stars, unrivaled 3-on-3 league. Okay? Unrivaled 3-on-3 league. Here's what's going down, folks. The WNBA is facing competition, okay? They've got tremendous competition the WNBA is facing, and they got one player they want, and they're going to get them all, okay? So here's what's going on. The WNBA has been able to put a cap on the women's salary. Well, the cap's coming off, and I'll resemble this to the AFL and the NFL. Okay, and when the AFL decided, hey, we're a league, we're going to go after the players. We got a TV rights deal too, and it looks like the competition's lining that up. You know, in the United States, whenever they change laws, they don't do it immediately. Okay, they do a little bit at a time to get you ready, and then boom, they'll drop the hammer. But that's not the subject at hand. Subject at hand is you got the WNBA is facing serious competition. It is no longer that you are the only game in town. Now, when this happens, look out, okay? Because here's what you're facing with the WNBA. You could lose potentially all of the best players in the WNBA, and I told you guys this a long time ago, okay? And I've seen it time and time again, and when you get something, the product's out, it's good, and what has happened, Caitlinclark not making the Olympic team, guys, you made a major mistake on this one. You made a major mistake on this one because what you did is just expose the product. You exposed the product. Now, you got the WNBA today, but there is nothing stopping anybody from starting the WNBA tomorrow, which means you have the Women's National Basketball Association, and you also have the Women's, Basketball Association. And there's only 144 players. And, folks, let me tell you what I mean. And this is where the deal gets really interesting because I see it and I see the writing on the wall. When you become, and you got the Mercury's, Kalia Cooper coming in there, man, they're going after the players, okay? And we looked at Ice Cube and we said, hey, okay, Ice Cube, well, that's a joke. No, it's not. What Ice Cube was doing was they call it in corporate America, they call it floating an idea. And you'll float something out there and see if you get any interest, okay? Now, this whole thing with Team USA and everything that's happened, man, it's bad business. This one here is bad business. You're dealing with Caitlinclark. You're dealing with a change player. You're dealing with somebody who can actually play this game at a very high level. And all of a sudden now you're in the competition. So what does that mean? As Boomer K said, we got the product. We got the product. We got the product. We feel your bid is underneath. And guess what? There could be some truth to that. That bid is out of line. And when you face something like that, and I told you, folks, they want one thing and one thing only. They want Caitlinclark. That's the deal. And on top of Caitlinclark, that's what they wanted in the beginning. Now you got the WNBA All-Star game, and they see all the talent that's on the floor. They want that too. Okay, and this is serious. This is serious business for the WNBA because you came in, you got a $2.2 billion TV contract. And folks, let me explain something to you just so you don't get confused. Okay, and you've heard the WNBA players saying the offer's too low, the offer's too low. Folks, there's a lot of people with a lot of money in America. There's a lot of people with a lot of money international. There's billionaires walking around, and when they see blood in the water, they come strong. And Kathy Engelbert, this is going to be your first true test, okay? Because you broadcast, we got the number one game, we got the millions of sellouts. You got everything you need except the players aren't making any money. And Money Mike told you there's going to be a free agency war, okay? And that free agency war can extend between two leagues. There is nothing stopping these players from saying, I have another league offering me $1 million a year. WNBA, can you match it? If you can't match it, you'll no longer have the best product. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. Now, how did this all come about? I told you I started looking at it. And folks, if you listen to me and you get an opportunity to hear me and hear me communicate on the game, what I do is I never really try to get down to the player level. I always start with the organization, okay? And I look at organizations continuously, and I study the business model of how they became successful. Okay, so if you look at the Hunt family, you look at the NFL, how did they start? You look at the confusion and why the Raiders are a standoff and a cast-off, because Al Davis was a commissioner. Okay, so when you talk about Mark Davis, okay, you got to understand something. Mark Davis is sitting there. Mark Davis is telling you he is the owner of the Las Vegas Aces. I want to play my players some more money. Now, if you don't want to do that, okay, what do we got to do? Because this is not about anything else, okay, but money. This is about money, folks. And when you get involved and you're talking about money, okay, and you talk about people who have money, and you talk about what are the capabilities of the people that have money, well, let me just tell you, this guy right here, this guy's name is Mark Davis. Okay, I went to Chico State University. He went to Chico State University. Okay, Mark Davis. Okay, so when you get to know who Mark Davis is and how Mark Davis does business and how his dad, Al Davis, did business, him and the Hunt family, they had a very, very, very competitive environment. They built the AFL from scratch, and they came on in and said, look, the NFL wasn't paying the players. Okay, but guess what? The AFL got a TV contract, and if they're going to have a new league, they got a TV contract lined up somewhere, okay, because the fans are going to watch this. But here's what Mark Davis did, and this is what you got to know about the NFL and the silver and black, okay? And as I told you, he went to Chico State. I went to Chico State. I had an opportunity to visit with one of his closest and best friends, was actually the wide receiver, Cliff Branch. We did a 4-hour interview with Cliff Branch. He told me everything about Mark Davis and how he believed in the players, that he went to the extent to negotiate against his own father for the contract of Cliff Branch, the late Hall of Fame wide receiver. Okay, Mark's put it on the table. He wants to pay his players more money. Okay, but you can't control this game. This game is all about the best of the best, and this game has got a market. You got a product. As you look at their USA basketball, that put a thorn in a lot of people's feet. That put a thorn in the NBC, the Olympics. That put a thorn in Paris. That put a thorn in international companies and our corporations. And I'm telling you now, they're plotting and figuring of how they can get the talent of the players away from the WNBA. And there's only one way you do it. The players, hey, I don't blame you. You do what you got to do, but there's one way of doing it. And there ain't two ways of doing it. There's one, okay? You play for money. They're professional basketball players. I broke it down to you, folks. The corporate enterprise business of the WNBA and the NBA. You got an NBA player making $60 million a year, and you got a WNBA player making a salary of what? $200,000, $300,000 over 4 years. That's an embarrassment. Why? Because you could pay the WNBA player's salary off the interest of an NBA salary. I told you another thing that should happen, okay? You got the NBA players, okay? The NBA players need to ante up, get in this game, get in this league, take some ownership, and do what you have to do because the product is there, and you can build this, and this is what's happening, folks. You can call me whatever you want. You can call me Crazy Joe, just like Lean On Me, but I'm nailing it for you right now because I know exactly what's going on. And I'll tell you this is not something that you're going to be able to overlook. And when you got the big guns, I'm talking about the big guns. What's a big gun, folks? You see this guy right here, this is LeBron James. This is what you call a big dog in the NBA. And when you get up there and you're a big dog, okay, these guys are in these WNBA games, they're showing up, okay, and you talk about franchise owner, let me tell you something. One thing I learned about the Buss family, and if you haven't seen it, you need to look at the legacy, okay, of the Buss, okay, and what he did for the NBA and how he walked in and paid Magic Johnson. It's a big dog right here, LeBron, and I'm telling you, when you get to the amount of money you can play the big dogs, you got to understand one thing, and I'm going to make it as plain as I can to you. Caitlin Clark is a big dog. That's a big dog, folks. Okay, when you got one individual selling out all the arenas and you get millions and millions of viewers on TV, this is not a game, and now you're starting to find out the WNBA can lose its most valuable asset and product, okay, the most valuable asset and product, which is the players. Because you don't have a league without the players. Now, you can get all the contracts you want, okay? You could raise all the acquisition fees of coming in there and getting into the WNBA. This one here is a problem, folks, and it's not going to get any better. You're going to have two professional women's leagues competing against one another. You're going to be battling. Cappy Elgapert, this new league is coming in, and they're starting. When they start, they're teasing you right now, saying we got a 3-on-3 league. That 3-on-3 league kicks off. Guess what it's going to turn into, folks? It's going to turn into the Women's Basketball Association, and Angel Reese is leading it. And I'm telling you, you got Jeff Swartz, Excel Sports Management. There's only two of them at the top of the game, okay? You got Clutch Sports, and you got Excel Sports Management. This one here is a problem, folks. And I'm telling you now, it ain't going nowhere. It's not going to get fixed. It's not going to get changed. It's not going to get moved. This is a problem for the WNBA, and it's starting to leak. And I'm telling you, this originated. How did this origin? You got a lot of people watching the game. You got a lot of people watching the WNBA, and you got a lot of people saying, why are the women making so little money? You got a lot of people saying why the women can't expand their game. They should be making more. Because, folks, when you got 144 players, let me be honest with you about something. And when it comes to professional sports, and you got the NFL, the highest shield, the highest brand, that's why you hear me talk about Mark Davis. And you talk about profit sharing coming across for Davis. You know, he says, hey, every NFL team makes about $400 million a year. That's just off the revenue. That's the revenue from the league. The revenue from the league is tremendous, and it's not seeing the players. That's why Mark Davis says, hey, get with Las Vegas. They're doing a good turn for us. Let's give every player an extra $100,000. This is not a game. This is not a makeup story. This is reality of corporate enterprise business. And when you have a situation where you are controlling and capping these women, and once you put on the performance, everybody in America can see, and they can see one thing only. There's better players that are there than on Team USA. They blew that opportunity because they were going over there to Paris. One thing you did by Caitlin Clark going over there with you, there's no doubt about it. You got the international companies. They'll check in. They'll allow her to come in there, and they'll tune in to all her games. It's a new day. It's a new day in the WNBA. The WNBA is going to lose some product. The WNBA is facing tremendous competition. And the WNBA and Kathy Engelbert have got to figure out how to get the laws changed immediately, because the bylaws and everything, every player is on an unrestricted contract. There's no restriction. There's no restriction. You may have one or two, but you sign all the rookies. They're all unrestricted. You gave them nothing. Guess what happened? Now they're in high demand, and people are bringing in the money. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We'll always tell you it's our opinion, okay? But if it turns to truth, I've given you the facts before they happen, and that's exactly what's going on right now. The WNBA is facing serious competition. The 3-on-3 league is just the start of the competition. And, folks, there's a lot of billionaires and there's some trillionaires in this world. And I guarantee you this, they see the product, they see the competition, and they're coming after the WNBA. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. All things are possible to those who believe, and we'll always tell you it's our opinion, okay? But if it does turn to fact, we've given you the truth before it happens, and this is exactly what's happening in the WNBA. We'll see you soon.